Today's video is going to be a little bittersweet, unfortunately. And that's because it's the end of an era for one of my builds, Supernova. Yep. Today, we're going to be disassembling Supernova, and I'm conflicted about it because this build got us through a lot. This was my first all water cooled build. It was the build that had the 5700 XT in it that caused enough of a problem that I made a video about it. And it's the build that so many of you guys saw when you hit that subscribe button. And while I absolutely still love the build, I still love the case, my needs have changed drastically. When I first started this journey into tech YouTube, I thought it would be like an aspect of my current YouTube. And at that point, I was doing gaming content and I was developing a video game. Because of that, I built Supernova with the intention that it was a gaming PC that could do everything. As time has gone on, it's become my main editing PC, which means I've actually run out of storage space. I have, unfortunately, left the loop to kind of decay a little bit. The actual particles in the liquid cooling solution has it started to separate. And this is something that anybody who's done one of these builds has a video on. This is like not a new thing at all. The problem is, the reason I've kept this system going so long without changing anything, it's a cornerstone of my actual production. So I didn't want to change anything. I wanted to keep it running at all times because it needs to be running at all times. But with storage running out, and I'm getting to the point where I'm having to cut original copies of my videos and only keep the one that got uploaded. And yes, I can replace the dev drive that I had in there with a new one. It's come to the point where I really need to build a specialized editing build. And I need almost everything that's in that PC. And that's why it's bittersweet. But it really isn't dying. In fact, actually, the build we're doing today with it is something that I would have never dreamed of building. Because not only can it hold enough drives for us in the future that it's almost like its own mini server with how much we can put into it, but we're still water cooling it. We're still running a water-cooled 5700 XT, a water-cooled Ryzen 9 3900X, I think it is. And we're gonna be changing the motherboard to an X570 motherboard, so we'll get even more performance out of our Ryzen processor. So today's build is still gonna be awesome. That's the sweet. The bitter is just, we're saying goodbye to Supernova. But let's get into it, because this is gonna be a long video, and if I don't complete this, there are no videos uploaded onto the channel next week. So let's get into it.
Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headaches stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack. And sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief. There's something that'll have what you need. What you need. We're broken, it's tragic. We're not all elastic, but maybe there's magic. Believe you could have it. And I know of sadness, the anxious and panic, the infinite vastness of all that is blackness.
While editing this, I realized that I said absolutely nothing after that. I Linus this so hard that I was afraid that I just broke my Ryzen 9 processor. Luckily, it's working 100%. But man, that was nerve-wracking. All right, after a lot of work, I have all of our parts together to make this happen. So let's start with the motherboard. Here's our motherboard. It is a Crosshair Hero 8. One of the best AMD motherboards you can possibly own for X570. And yes, this is X570. Our processor is, of course, our Ryzen 9 3900X. Great CPU still. And we want to line up the triangles, and that was not lining up the triangles. We're going to do that, get a little wiggle wiggle, bring the arm down, and we are good to go. We're going to want to mount our CPU block. Now, I did do a deep clean on this from the other system. And more importantly, I also did a leak test. It's a good thing I did, because if I didn't, I would have leaked fluid all over the motherboard socket, and that would have been real bad. And our water block is an EK Velocity water block. So just gonna run that like so. Get a little swoosh. And then spring, spring, spring. And I like to do this. Get like a quarter turn on that till the spring and the thread engage. It's a little loose right there. RAM. Okay, we got our G Trident Z RGB. These bad boys are 300 or 3000 speed. Not the fastest in the world, but this is also an editing station, so all right, and that is now ready to go into the case. And here is our case. Yep, the Fractal Design 7XL. This bad boy can fit way too much into it. As you can see, I have it in the configuration where it's no longer being used as a maximum water cooling build, but instead has storage space. Problem is, it still can fit a ton of water cooling parts. I measured, and I can still fit my 420 in here. So we get the drives and we get the water cooling? Heck yeah! So let's go ahead and start doing what we do best. All right, time to post test. Oh, I see lights. I don't see leaks. I see fan spin. I see more bubbles making their way out of the system. And right down here, we got one of my field monitors, and if it works, we should see a signal. Granted, this is the first time this processor and motherboard have been together, and hey, we got a post. So it's done. And this is an interesting one. Like, I don't think I've ever built anything this unusual. To be fair, when you hear that something's got 20 terabytes of storage in it, the ability to store 15 drives, fully liquid cooled with a 420 millimeter radiator, really good hardware like a Ryzen 9 3900X and a 5700 XT, all under liquid, mind you, with 32 gigs of DDR4 memory. I mean, this combination, while somewhat, consumer friendly, it just sounds ridiculous. Like, the ability to store 15 drives and all in a consumer case. It's crazy. And yes, right now we've got about 22 terabytes worth of storage in there. I've got a bunch of 4 terabyte drives, and we're gonna throw in an Iron Wolf at some point, which will be another 10 terabytes. If I run out of space anytime soon, there's a problem at that point, because I only record at 1080p. So if I'm recording 4K, maybe that would fill up a little bit faster. But there was a problem with the build. My boot drive wouldn't boot. The data's there. In fact, now that I'm in Windows, I can see data is fully there. There's no reason why it shouldn't be booting, but it just won't boot. So I ended up having to go all the way to Best Buy, and I picked up an NVMe Western Digital Black SSD. That was also terabytes, and also a new flash drive to make a new Windows boot drive because I lost mine. Do that a lot, actually. And while this was a change of plans, it ended up working out for the better because now I've got a clean install of Windows. And honestly, with all the data still there, there's not really much of a reason why this isn't a good thing. It's overall beneficial for the system to actually be a fresh install, especially because I was starting to have issues with that SSD while it was inside the original system. But now that it's complete, I can definitely say that I am proud to say that this is the replacement for Supernova, because it's awesome. I mean, it's everything Supernova was and more, and it's quieter than Supernova. Like, it's running right now. I ran a 3D Mark, I ran Cinebench. Never once did the CPU go above 75 degrees. The GPU has been sitting around 40 consistently. What is this system? Yes, the air coming out of it is warm, but like, this thing's it sounds impossible. It's ridiculous. Fractal, you did amazing. That's where we're gonna end today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, consider giving it a like, maybe commenting or subscribing. The more of you that actually subscribe to this channel and watch this content, the more content like this I can actually do. So yeah, this project was cool. I am going to be adding more drive bays. I'm going to be adding a SATA expansion card into there. I am going to be adding just so much into this one. Maybe even a screen. I thought about doing a screen on that one. It might be cool. But this PC is definitely going to be a workstation that is going to drive this channel for a while. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Wolfie, out.